Something blended. Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. Episode 78 today, and it is Friday, everybody. So it is Finish Strong Friday. Make sure whatever you're doing, you're getting after it today. It's going to make that dinner taste a lot sweeter tonight, and the weekend's going to be a lot better. So be sure to finish strong, whatever you're doing. And while you're at it, go check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. See how we're helping companies build their brands by telling their stories through social media management and podcasting and all kinds of different content that we're helping create, messaging and things like that. And also shout out to our partner over at Taft, the sponsor of the show. These are the good guys in freight factoring. They're helping companies with their capital that they need, factoring services and discounts for tires and fuel and all kinds of things to help them stay on the road. And they're also about educating drivers, and I absolutely love that. So check them out at taft.com or click on the link that Morgan puts into the comments today. That'll take you directly to my landing page with Taft so they know that I sent you. And if you're a freight broker, you can certainly partner with them as a referral partner to make sure that your carriers have all the resources that they need as they are out there on the road and delivering our products. So check them out at tafts.com. And also, we've had a fabulous week of shows this week. It's been a tremendous week. Start off the week with my good friends, Matt Leffler and Chris Horton. Had a really fun conversation. First time we've done that. That's a great one to listen to. On Tuesday, got to talk to Mike Myers with World Business Chicago about how they're helping transportation companies thrive in the city of Chicago. Wednesday, had a great chat with my friend Shannon Bream of Freightvana about being a leader and what he's doing at Freightvana with their brand. Yesterday, great conversation with Brandon Bay of LGI. He's a cowboy. He's got farm. He's got animals. Had a great chat with him about what they're doing down there. And then today, in a moment, we're going to bring on my friend Brian AuBuchon of Order Express right here in St. Louis. So a bunch of great shows. Check them out on demand, either on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. And make sure you come back every day at 10:30 a.m. for an episode of Standing Out. Again, today is episode 78. Super excited about that. All right, let's go ahead and bring on our guest today. I've known this guy for quite a while. He's been building a brokerage at an asset-based carrier and just doing a tremendous job with that. Also, somebody who's just a blast to hang out with, and he plays golf. So, and most importantly, he lives right here in St. Louis. So I've had a chance to hang out with him outside of work, which has been a blast. So everybody, please welcome to the show my good friend, Brian AuBuchon. Brian, what's up, man?
Hey, Trey. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm, Friday, like you said, trying to do everything to get out of here on a positive note and enjoy the Father's Day weekend. And, happy Father's Day to you also.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. And you got a polo on, it looks like. So is there golf in the forecast today?
Not today.
Oh, man, that's unfortunate. I know.
It's had a little bit break in the weather here in St. Louis, which is nice. It's been pretty oppressive this week. And, got a little storm pushed through this morning and broke it up a little bit. But, unfortunately, work is taking over my time today and no golf.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get a chance to play soon. The last time that we played, you took me down. I could not compete. Lost, I think, by a stroke or two, but had a blast doing that. It was a lot of fun. Talk a little bit about, but actually, before we get into anything, because some people watching may not know who you are, even though a lot of people do. Some people might not know. Give a 30-second rundown of who you are and what's going on at Order Express.
Sure. Yeah, my name, once again, Brian AuBuchon. I've been in logistics for, a long time, nearly 30 years at this point. And I've been with Order Express a little over 8 years. And Order Express is an asset-based company based in St. Louis, the St. Louis area. And we are doing some tremendous things, not only on the asset side, but on the logistics side as well. And we're really growing. We've expanded into a new headquarters here in St. Louis a couple years ago, and we can't keep up with the growth that we're experiencing. Actually, it's a very good problem to have. Yet, the fact that we've got a waiting list of drivers to come and join us without advertising it is pretty amazing. But I've always been on the logistics side of the table. The partnership here with our Arter Express being the parent company, asset-based logistics is something that everybody wants to be in, to be honest with you, as opposed to the non-asset based. It's more desirable, let's put it that way. But yeah, I've always been in logistics, always in the St. Louis area. Look forward to it. It's a one of those things, you get into it, and you don't ever get out of it as it. So
that's the truth. I don't know too many people that have escaped transportation, but it's such a great industry, and there's a reason why that tends to happen. But what a great problem to have, of having too many drivers wanting to join your company. I've talked to a lot of carriers, especially in the last couple of years, and that is not a problem that a lot of them have. Most of them have 50 trucks sitting because they can't find the drivers to fill those trucks. And so what a great problem to have over there. And I haven't gotten to your new headquarters yet, but I remember the old headquarters, and parking was a little tight. So hopefully it's a little better at the new one.
Much different situation now. Yeah, we used to have to double park and everything else, and coordinate with lunch schedules so we didn't get blocked in and so forth. But yeah, much different situation here. Our headquarters is, we're on 15 acres now. We have ample space. We're very, very different situation than what you experienced a few years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember when first time I came to visit you guys in the office, and I'm pretty sure I parked back in the truck yard somewhere.
Somewhere, really wherever you can find.
Spot. So yeah, exactly.
Between trailers, wherever you can get. Yeah.
That's right. How long have you been at Arter?
A little over 8 years now.
A little over 8 years, yeah. And I think we met pretty early on in your tenure there, because I know that you were just kind of getting things started in the brokerage and moving in that direction.
I mean, Arter Express has had our logistics division is actually called TAB, but we've had a logistics group for a while. Prior to me even coming on board, but we've really taken it to the next level. In the last 8 years, I'd like to say. So we're really growing. We've expanded. We now have offices in 3 different continents. We recently opened an office in Poland. We have a partnership office down in Colombia, and that's provided us with a lot of great opportunities to do things that otherwise might have been a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I definitely want to talk about those partnerships you've created here in just a little bit. But before that, I want to talk about the value of working for, great leaders who really free you up to do what you do best and give you a lot of autonomy, those types of things. I've met the owners over there. What does that mean for you coming to Arter to be in a situation where they're kind of giving you the keys and saying, hey, build this thing?
Well, it's honestly, it's the difference between success and failure. I mean, if you don't have ownership that's behind the initiatives and give you the latitude to go and develop whatever it is that you need to develop, you're going to be handcuffed. I've worked for small organizations. I've worked for large organizations, and bigger isn't always better when it comes to being dynamic and being able to turn on a dime. And in the transportation, and especially in the logistics world, that's what you have to have. And if you have the support of the ownership that says, yeah, just go do it. We trust you. We hired you to put you in a position to succeed. Here's the keys to the castle, essentially. And, they're still going to keep an eye, of course, as they should. But at the same time, if things are working, you get a lot less scrutiny, and you get a lot more support. Then, we've got some dynamic owners at Arter Express that, they don't just think about today. They're looking at the future and 3 to 5 years down the road. When we built this building, for example, 2 years ago, we built it about 3 times bigger than what we actually needed, with the anticipation of us filling it up. And, we've done a pretty decent job of doing that. In addition to adding our additional offices too. So, they embrace tech. I mean, they're very, open-minded when it comes to, it's not, we did this for 20 years. We're going to continue to do that. Those are the kind of people that end up getting left in in the wake. But it's outstanding to have the support of ownerships like that.
Yeah, and it creates an environment where people want to be a part of it and they want to work their best. They want to have the opportunity to have autonomy and be creative and to come up with ideas and figure things out. It takes a special leader to recognize that other people can come in and they can do a job just as good, if not better, than what they can do, and give them the freedom to do that. And special things happen in organizations that have that kind of culture. And I've seen it in what you've done just in the last 8 years, specifically the last 5 or 6, as we've been,
Right.
connected and hanging out. It's been really special to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about some of these partnerships that you mentioned earlier. When we were playing golf last time, you had mentioned some of the successes that your teams in Poland have had, that your teams in Colombia have had, and the technology partners that you have. We've talked about those a little bit as well. How has, forming these partnerships with technology vendors, but also with, from a labor perspective, with organizations that can help you guys grow and find really great talent globally, how has that impacted the growth you guys have been able to experience?
Well, in a nutshell, it widens our reach, and we're here in St. Louis, and yes, there is a lot of talent here in St. Louis, but to think that all the best talent in the world is right here in St. Louis is probably a little short-sighted. So we opened up this office in Poland, in particular, that it was something that we thought we would try. Let's try it and let's see what happens. And it has become a huge success. The European group of individuals that we've founded or hired, they the drive is much different. Call it cultural, call it whatever. A lot of my team in particular are in their mid to later 20s and have worked all over Europe. It's something that a lot of them at 16, 17, 18 were moving to the UK or moving to Spain or all that, just to try to grow themselves. They're a very, very driven group of individuals that we have there, and it's allowed us to do a lot of things. Not only from a cost perspective, but also from an overall reach. We have different time zones that are represented as well, and we got a lot of we have teams in both Colombia and Poland and here in the US, and they work as if they're all sitting right next to each other. So it's wonderful. And I mean, technology advances there are what allows that to take place. But it's really awesome what we have out there. And the world has really become a lot smaller with the invention of additional tech advances. So
Yeah, that's the truth. And I think that, when you think about, our culture and what we have here in the States, we tend to prolong childhood and adolescence, whereas in other cultures, they get started a lot earlier than we do. And that might be out of necessity a little bit. They don't necessarily go to college just to have fun.
Right.
They go work, they start, so a 26-year-old over there is probably different than a 26-year-old over here, in terms of what their mindset is, and it allows you to see beyond what is just right here in the States, what's in front of you, which I think is really impressive. How have you found managing people in remote locations, in virtual offices? What are some of the challenges, and what are some of the things that has helped you be successful in that, as opposed to just managing people right there in the headquarters, in St. Louis?
Well, I think the key to that is to have a strong leader in each of those offices, whether it be in Europe or whether it be in Colombia. And if you don't have that, there's only so much you can rely on. We've got, we can see cameras, and we have cameras so we can actually see each other all day long. So it's like we are sitting next to each other. However, it is a little bit more challenging to do that. And once again, you have to have a strong leader there that will motivate the team. You can see the results. You can see which loads are being booked, which calls are being made. But, how truly active everybody is, you lose a little bit of that because you can't hear them on the phone. You can't, look over and see exactly what they're doing. Logistics is really what proof's in the pudding. So, I mean, at the end of the day, did everything get done? And then everybody's happy. But, so that has a lot to do with it, just having, and that's part of the hiring process. You have to have a strong leader that is going to be able to not only support, but also lead your teams there abroad.
Yeah, this remote work environment has, I think, shifted the mindset from paying people for their time to paying people for their productivity,
Yeah.
because you can't really monitor their time. Like, I mean, you can, but it's harder. If they're clocking into maybe a time system, maybe, or logging into a computer, maybe you can see when they're doing those types of things. But I think the people are starting to become more, and the leaders in particular and owners are starting to become more interested in the productivity of a person as opposed to just buying their time. Are you finding that to be the case, or do you think that's just a short term
No,
situation?
I think ultimately, I mean, it doesn't matter how, it's how many. And, it's, you still want to have a productive team. You don't want to have, you know, 14 employees or staff members when you only need 8, because everybody can find a way to make themselves look busy, and justify. So, I mean, as a leader of the team, I have to make sure that the productivity is such that we're not, overstating on the expense side. But at the same time, we got to look at it and say, okay, what at the end of the day, what's the bottom line? Did it work? Was it effective? Did we meet our goals, financial goals, productivity goals, etc.?
Yeah, and I think what you're saying, the proof is really in the pudding, especially with the technology that we have today. You can see, like you said, what someone's doing, what they've accomplished, how many calls they've made, what actually happened, what they're, what they book it for, how much money they make. All those kind of things now can be seen. What's been the value for you in having the right technology partners to manage all of that effectively?
Well, to be honest, I mean, if we didn't have the technology partners that we have, it just wouldn't be possible. The fact that we can watch each other and have interaction as if we're sitting next to each other. Having that instantaneous updates on whether it be our TMS, which we have a very dynamic TMS. I think it's an industry leader. And that's something we're very, very proud of, the partner that we have with our TMS. And, that is something that it's real time. So you can see, it's not a batch. It's not, you can see exactly what's taking place right now. And, you can just pick up the phone and dial their extension as if they're sitting right next to you, as opposed to trying to make an international call. It's without the technology advances, the global offices, I just don't think would be viable.
It'd be incredibly difficult. There's no, I mean, you think about it, global or having satellite office is not necessarily something new, but certainly it is accelerated with COVID, especially. And so technology's made that much, much more possible and much easier to evaluate. I know you've been down to Colombia to see your team down there. Have you been to Poland?
August will be my
Oh,
first trip
nice.
out there. So yeah,
Nice.
August 5th, I believe we're heading out there. But no, yeah, I've been down to the Columbia, 4 or 5 times, and I think that's important as well. Even though a lot of these individuals that we hire over Zoom meetings and so forth, so we never actually met them. I still think there's a human element that has to be employed here, and you have to have contact or interaction with your team, and in-person contact is probably the best. It's still hard to beat that. This is still a people industry, and it's if your team feels neglected or not a part of the team, then that's a problem. Yeah, it has involved a lot more travel, but at the same time, you know, it's good travel.
Yeah,
It's
there's worse
all
places to
positive.
go than Colombia.
Yes,
There's, if you got
there's
to go
worse
somewhere for
places, I
work,
guess.
yeah, that's not a bad spot to have to go for work. And it does mean a lot, when you invest in the time and the resources to go down and spend time with people, take them to dinner, get to know their family, their goals, those types of things. It does create that community where they really feel a part of the team, as opposed to kind of the office off here to the side. They're really integrated with your team.
Right.
How have you been able to, integrate your teams with these different cultures, Colombia, Poland, and St. Louis with your existing staff in St. Louis?
Well, it just goes down to simple management. Even in St. Louis, you have 3 different employees. Well, you can't. It's not a one size fits all. Having that understanding of what's important to the individual is critical. You've got to understand that whether it's the culture in Colombia is very different from the culture in Poland, for example. And you just have to recognize that, embrace that, and then, adapt your conversations or your expectations to that that level. And once again, it's not a one size fits all. If so, you're gonna wonder at the end of the day why you're really frustrated, and that's because everybody else is frustrated too, because of it's the way in which you communicate. There's just a lot of things that have to go into it, and once again, it's no different than having the 3 people next to you. One person may react positively to a different type of communication than somebody else, and that's just communication in general.
Yeah, and going to Poland, going to Colombia, really understanding their culture, it helps also just to connect with them and understand, maybe what they value. I know in Colombia, family is a big value. People live with their families and extended families and things like that. So, going to these cultures, understanding it, definitely it helps. I just heard a story recently of Dean Smith, the old basketball coach at North Carolina, passed away since this, but he had a player from a country in Africa. I'm not sure which one, and that player would not look him in the eye whenever he was coaching him. Wouldn't look him in the eye, and called him in the office. He disciplined him. He put him out of practice because he just felt disrespected. Called him into the office and said, why won't you look me in the eye when I'm talking to you? And he said, Coach, in my country, it's a sign of disrespect to look someone right in the eye. And so the next day at practice, there was an assistant coach that was not at practice, and they weren't there for 2 weeks because Dean Smith sent them to his home country to visit his family and to learn the culture. And so he showed up at this kid's parents' house saying, I'm an assistant coach for Coach Smith. I want to know everything I can about your culture and understand you guys better. And it just shows the lengths that a leader will go to truly connect with their people and make sure that they are communicating in a way that's effective and leading them well. And it sounds like obviously these trips to, Colombia and Poland, maybe not quite as urgent as that, but still the benefits are the same of getting a chance to understand their culture and the differences that go along with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you've got to embrace, we can't be so ignorant, probably is the best word, to think that our beliefs and our work ethic and our work patterns and everything else are going to apply to everybody. And if we do, you're going to have a very fragmented team, and you're not going to get the productivity that you're expecting out of them as a result. You've got to embrace them. You have to embrace them, and you have to understand their culture. You have to understand what motivates them. One culture may be motivated by money. One might not be, or be less motivated by money. So it's just understanding. Customers are the same way. Are they a service-oriented customer? Are they a cost-oriented customer? And what's most important? Well, the answer, as we all say, it's both. Until you miss a load. And then all of a sudden the customer's yelling. That's like, it doesn't matter what the cost is. Get it there. That's it's sort of a microcosm of what we're talking about here. Everybody wants everything, but the reality is you have to work to expectations. And how do you find out what those expectations are? Through research, through spending time, through keeping your eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Understanding what, read up on culture. If you throw something, just a Polish word or something like that, just shows that you're trying to embrace their language and so forth. And it means a lot. Of course they laugh because, I said it wrong or whatever funny, the case may be, but they appreciate the effort. And those are the kind of things that you have to do. You have to go out on a limb. And sometimes you may expose yourself a little bit, but that's okay too. That's brings you in as an individual and not just a figure or a leader of the group.
Yeah, and I think something that, a common trait of every great leader is the ability to know their people and to know what motivates them, to know what's important to them, to know who their family is, to know what their push and pulls in life are, where are they being pulled at home, or where, what are their responsibilities. Just knowing them, it makes all the difference in the world. When you ask somebody to do something, but they've got a kid that plays baseball, might change the way you think about that conversation, just by
Absolutely.
knowing that that's important. So I love that you're doing that. As we kind of wrap this up, I want to go back to something you said earlier, because I'm really fascinated by this. When you said that you guys have too many drivers that want to join Ardor, I'm really curious to know, what are you guys doing as a company to recruit drivers and to create that interest where they want to work with you guys? That's such an industry issue right now.
That is,
I'm really curious about that.
I mean, that's we're in a very unique situation. I mean, Ardor Express, we call ourselves, and you can maybe see it in the background, but it says we label ourselves as the truckers company. So we don't address drivers when they come in as truck numbers. They're, Marcin or whoever we're talking to, we address them by their name. And they're people. They're not just a truck number that's hauling a load for us. And we have no advertising out there right now, and we are still getting multiple requests to join our team daily. 3 weeks ago, our wait list was 80, and we're just right at 100 right now. And it's a
There's companies out there that would like to have access to that list, right?
I'm sure. But there's a reason why they want to come join us, and it's because of the word of mouth from the other drivers. Drivers do one thing very well, and that's communicate. Whether it's to each other or whether it's to the customer or whatever it may be. But Ardor Express has a tremendous reputation out there, and a lot of drivers are talking to other drivers, and they're like, I want to check this company out, and so that's really where it's coming from. We have advertised in the past, but we have 0 advertisements running, and still every single day adding to that waiting list.
That's amazing. But when you're treating your drivers or treating your team members, whatever it is, as clients, as consumers of what you're doing, then you get that word of mouth. You get that advertisement that goes out there, and that's stronger than anything you guys could even put out in an advertisement, anyways. Yep. I mean, if a driver says this is the place to work, that means a lot more than any type of banner or social media post or
Absolutely.
This podcast or anything to talk about it. That speaks volumes
Right.
to what you guys are doing. And I think any company out there should recognize that if you treat your team members well, not only do they take care of your customers, but they also are going to be the greatest recruiters for future talent that you want to bring into your organization, whether it's drivers or whatnot. So that's amazing. Congratulations. That's really impressive.
Yeah, thank you. And it has a lot to do with a lot of hard work. It just doesn't happen. Our headquarters here, it's very driver centric. We've got a theater downstairs. We've got private showers and free laundry and all of those creature comforts that a lot of us take for granted, but the drivers appreciate, because there's a lot of other companies that they may have worked for that don't have those, and it really does differentiate you from the others. I mean, we bring in lunches all the time. We feed our drivers all the time, as far as when they're coming through, stop by. We had an ice cream truck here yesterday. Everybody that was around was able to get a treat from the ice cream truck. And we do the same thing on the logistics side. I mean, although they're contract carriers that we have under our umbrella, but we treat them the same way. We differentiate ourselves in that, both with our company freight, our customer freight, as well as we've got a very big network of agents too that we have, and we're growing that tremendously this year in particular. But we treat them with the same respect that we do our company drivers, all of those drivers that we hire. We preach that we've got 2 customers for every single shipment: the customer that we're going to bill for the load, and the customer that we're going to pay for hauling this load for us. And if we address both of those customers the same way, those carriers, those contract carriers are going to want to work for us again and again. And all of a sudden now we have a situation where we have additional capacity on our logistics side as well, because carriers want to work with us. We address their problems. We address, in a timely manner. A lot of times a driver will say, oh gosh, I don't have the right pickup number, and get passed around to 3 or 4 different people and never actually get an answer. All they're thinking is, I don't want to work with this company anymore. So, I mean, we take that very, very seriously here. It's our culture. It's what we talk about with our teams every single day. And it's just not acceptable to not treat drivers or contract carriers with anything less than the utmost respect.
Well, that is music to my ears, and kudos to you guys on the success that you've had. It sounds like I need to come by for a tour of the new facility, a lunch, maybe a round of golf. I think we need to.
Well, we could, visit in the morning, and then we'll hit the links in the afternoon.
Hey, that sounds good to me, man. I'd love to see it and just meet with the leadership again and say hi and all that. That'd be awesome. Brian, thanks for being on the show, man. Really appreciate you being here today. Hope you'll come back and talk to us soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trey. I appreciate the opportunity, and you do great work here. And, I like being a part of it. So thank you.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. And everybody who's watching, thank you so much for watching today. Make sure you come back on Monday. We're going to have the strongest man in logistics. If you don't know who that is, it's Robert Bain of Metaphor. He's going to be on the show on Monday, 10:30 a.m. Central Time. And it's Friday, so don't forget, come back at noon for episode 111 of The Word on the Street with guest Josh Breeze of Freight Vana today. We're going to have a great time. Going to talk about Father's Day and a few other things as well. So we'll see you guys at noon as well. And again, thanks for the support to our sponsor, TAS. Appreciate those guys for what they're doing. Click on that link that Morgan has in the comments to learn more about that. And we will see you guys right back here for another episode on Monday of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, leadership, powered by Beta Consulting Group. We'll see you guys later.